I get it, you've spent an hour scrolling through listings, looking at glossy photos of compressors that promise instant pressure and portable power, only to wonder if the thing will actually fit in the back of your truck and keep up when you need it for a tire change, a bike pump, or a weekend project. You've probably heard the horror stories: a tank that's too heavy, a hose that kinks, or a unit that fizzles out after a few minutes. That hesitation is exactly why I'm doing this deep dive, so you can avoid wasting money on a compressor that looks great on paper but falls short when you actually need it. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Rolair 20-gallon horizontal compressor is marketed as a portable solution, and the first thing I did was picture the typical scenarios where you'd actually need that portability. Imagine you're on a road trip and one of the kids gets a flat tire, or you're at a remote campsite needing to inflate a kayak and a bike in the same afternoon. You pull the Rolair out of the trunk, set it on the ground, and start the motor. The unit's horizontal tank layout means it slides out of a vehicle more easily than a tall, vertical cylinder, which is a real plus if you're loading and unloading from tight spaces. That's a design choice that makes a difference when you're not standing in a garage. Now, let's talk about daily usability. The 20-gallon tank gives you a decent reserve of air before the motor has to kick back in. In practical terms, that translates to being able to inflate a set of 4 car tires, a couple of bike tires, and still have enough pressure left for a quick air spray job on a fence without the compressor whining on and off. For people who do a mix of automotive and light DIY tasks, that buffer can cut down the wait for the pressure to build time that you get with smaller, 3 or 5-gallon units. I've seen the same scenario play out on job sites where a crew needs to keep a few tools running continuously. The Rolair can hold enough pressure to keep a nail gun or a spray gun going for a reasonable stretch before it needs a recharge. One hidden trade-off that isn't highlighted in the product blurb is the weight. A 20-gallon air tank isn't light. The Rolair sits around the 70-pound mark once you factor in the motor and tank. That's still lighter than many comparable vertical units, but it's not something you'll want to carry upstairs or lug around a small apartment. If your primary use case is purely indoor, say, a home garage where you can roll it on a small cart, this weight isn't a problem. If you envision moving it from a car to a campsite every weekend, you'll need a dolly or a set of wheels to make it tolerable. The air hose that comes with the Rolair is fairly long, about 25 feet, so you can position the compressor a comfortable distance from the vehicle or workpiece without stretching the hose over your feet. In real-world use, that length prevents you from having to constantly shuffle the unit closer, which can be a safety hazard when you're on a slick garage floor. The hose also feels robust. The inner lining holds up well to oil-free air, which means you won't be dealing with residue that can clog delicate pneumatic tools. That said, the hose does have a standard rubber outer covering, so if you're in a dusty, abrasive environment like a construction site, you might want to protect it with a quick wrap sleeve to avoid premature wear. What about noise? Portable compressors are notorious for sounding like a lawnmower at full throttle, and the Rolair is no exception. When it ramps up to reach the set pressure, you'll hear a steady hum that can be a bit loud in a confined garage. It's not ear-splitting, but you'll want to wear hearing protection if you're planning on running it for extended periods, especially if you have kids or pets nearby. For occasional use like inflating a tire or a few rounds of paint sprayer, this level of noise is manageable. Now let's break down who should actually consider buying this compressor. If you are a DIY enthusiast who does a little bit of everything: car maintenance, bike repairs, occasional woodworking, and you need a unit that can keep up without constantly cycling on and off, the Rolair's 20-gallon capacity hits that sweet spot. It's also a solid pick for small to medium automotive shops that don't want to invest in a full-size industrial compressor but still need enough air to run multiple tools without a pause. The horizontal tank makes it easier to store in a shop with limited ceiling height, and the decent tank size means you won't be stuck in a cycle of inflate, wait, inflate again during a busy morning. On the flip side, if you're looking for a truly lightweight, backpack-style compressor for bike touring, or if